Okay, so it's time for Ask. This is a section of the GMBN week where we answer all your mountain bike related questions. So don't forget you can fire your questions in to ask@gmbn.com or leave them in the comments below.
Yes, yeah.
Right, what we got, Blake? Fire
Well,
away.
we've picked out a few and I've got one from Thomas Twig. He says that he wants to start enduro racing. He's recently bought a Cube Stereo 140.
Good choice.
It's 150 up front and 140 out the back. Would it be suitable for MTB to start racing?
100%.
100% yes,
Yeah.
That is a great bike. There's a lot of travel, especially for all that aggressive downhill racing. And then going by what it looks like, I've did a little bit of research, you can do some pedaling as well up the hill. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, and of course it's an easy platform to upgrade because it's the same frame between all of the stereo bikes and there's just better componentry, wheels and stuff on them.
Yeah.
So you'll find the best way to save your money and upgrade the bike is as you wear things out, then replace them with the next equivalent up. So when your chain and cassette wear, you can fit an XT1 on there maybe, or XTR, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Do the same with your tyres. Once they're worn, you can improve it with some heavy duty tyres.
Yeah.
And you'll find your abilities will start dictating what you want to put on that bike as well.
Yeah, yeah. And if you've bought the Race or the SL in that range, that comes with a 2x up front. So that could be a good one to change out, and probably pretty easy. You want to change, you probably could change the sprocket in front.
Easy as that. Cool, so we've got another question here from Peter Checkpick. I think that's how you pronounce your name, apologies if not. I'm going to start riding dirt jumps. Can you help me out picking a cheap dirt jump bike?
Yes, well done. That's some good discipline. Well, I'm going to start with checking out the second-hand market, because if you're going to start learning to do it, you're going to definitely start to break things, especially when you're chucking it around. And plus, if it gets into it and you find that's not your thing, and you've spent so much money on a brand new bike, you haven't spent too much on a second-hand one. So I'd go second-hand market, but there's a lot out there.
That's a good shout. Yeah, the last time I had a dirt jump bike, a few years back, mind. Yeah, I just bought a frame, basically. I bought a frame new, but I got all the bits second-hand for it. Worked out real cheap.
That's a good way.
And
of
I wasn't that fussed about the bike. It's good to go and ride. It didn't have to be too precious with it.
Yeah, exactly. But if you've got the money, then I used to ride for a company called Octane One, sistering company to NS Bikes. They do a good budget jump bike, and it's strong and it does the job. At the moment, I'm running a Scott Voltage YZ, and it's pretty good. I do like it.
Tidy.
Right, next question coming in from Abidas says, are direct sales such as Canyon and YT trustworthy? I'm quite skeptical about buying online. I prefer to get a bike from a professional bike shop.
Well, they're both professional bike brands, if you want to call them such things. Yeah, of course, they're completely reputable bike brands to buy from. The only difference with buying online is, of course, you're not going to a physical bike shop to get those bikes. So you kind of got to have a good idea of what you want before you order them.
Yeah.
They, of course, have valid warranties, just like any bike you buy in a bike shop. It's just a very different way of buying those bikes, and hence you do save a bit of money by going direct. But that's not for everyone.
Yeah.
You've got to make that choice beforehand.
But you can do your homework, and they can go out and find out demo days and all that.
Of course, yeah. So if you buy a bike in your regular bike shop, chances are you can give them your passport or a form of ID and take a bike for a test loop before you actually commit to buying it. Yeah, and to do that with direct sale bikes, you actually have to get yourself along to demo days to do the same thing, which I definitely recommend doing. Trying 2 or 3, get a ballpark idea of what you want. Yeah. But yeah, they're absolutely fantastic brands. We ride Canyon, got lots of friends who ride YT.
Yeah.
No problems there. Okay, so next up, Ben Asham says, I have a tubeless setup, however it kept deflating, so I chucked a tube in there with the sealant still in the tyre. Will the sealant fix the tube as well? Saves the stress of tubeless. Firstly, no, it's not going to fix it. You've just created a real messy situation for yourself. Yeah. Because that inner tube now is swimming around in the sealant, and at some point it's all going to congeal. So
you're going to have to change it.
If you don't want to set it up tubeless and you want to run the inner tube now, so just taking it all out, cleaning it, put it back in again. One suggestion that Blake said earlier was to put some sealant inside an inner tube, and you can do that if your inner tube has a removable valve core. And of course the other option, and probably the best option, just going tubeless full stop, is to do it again. I'm just going to throw you actually to setting up your bike tubeless and show you all the tubeless mistakes that you're going to encounter. For your rear tyre, it's actually worth putting a little bit more sealant than you do in the front, just because you're more likely to burp that tyre, and the extra sealant is going to help seal that. You can obviously pour the tyre sealant straight into the tyre, and most people do this. It works fine. However, I'm going to show you the method installing it through the valve itself once the tyre is already on and popped into place.
Next question coming in from Let's Rock It Right. Is there a way to know if I have a tapered steerer or a straight tubed without disassembling his whole front end? Because he wants to buy a new fork.
And you can't bother to look.
Exactly.
Got it. Yes, there is. You can look at the underside of the steerer tube. Basically, if it's got a big hole, you can tell it's a tapered, and if it's got a smaller hole, you can tell it's not.
Yeah, cheers for that, Donny.
That's
Pretty
right.
cold out there for you to go out.
Well, it's cold. You
Yeah.
should have gone. You're wearing a hat.
Yeah. And a
Anyway,
jumper.
next question. Right, so from the Harvey, what should my stem length with a 720/740 mil wide riser bar be? I'm currently running 680 mil bars with an 80 mil stem, and I want to change them.
Well, you don't have to really change it, do you?
No, I would say the wider bars you go, the shorter stem you go, because the effect of widening your bar means you're going to be leaning forwards more on the bike. So you want to counter that by coming back again slightly. Work in sort of 20mm lengths, really. But if you want to know about bike setup like that, check this video right here where I tell you all about the bar setup I run on mine. Up front, I've got the high-rise option in a full 800mm width bar. Not everyone needs a bar this wide, but I'm quite tall and it just suits the bike really well, having the bigger wheels. I like the high-rise option because I like the way the bike feels like this. I get my position further backwards.
Right, we've got one from ZJO. He says, loves the channel. Thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you very much,
Says, he's got a new bike and it's all about his suspension. Says, are you meant to use all of your suspension up front and back? Because he doesn't seem to be using all of his.
Well, yes, you should, because otherwise you're not using the full travel that's available to you. But you should be using it all the time. So you've got to get it set up right. So you want about 25 to 30% of that available travel as sag.
Yeah.
And that will mean that hopefully on most of your rides you'll be using nearly all of your travel. Saves that little bit extra for those real big jumps or those accidental moments where you hit stuff a bit hard. So yeah, you do want to be using it because you've paid for that travel.
Exactly.
So you want to be using it, mate.
Got to use the whole thing.
Yeah. My go now.
Your question, yeah.
It says, SE Evidenti, I've recently got some new disc brake rotors, size 180 front and rear. I was told I made the wrong choice by the mechanics at the bike shop because both front and rear disc brakes are of similar size. They suggested I go for 160 at the rear and keep the front. Why should my rear rotor be smaller?
Well, because you're not necessarily using your rear rotor as much as your front. Because all your weight's, if you're braking really hard and you've got a big, all your weight's going to shift forward, so it's going to put a lot of stress on a smaller rotor that you would have, and it could, heat up really fast.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. When you're braking hard on a bike, the front end is the one that's weighted. That's why you skid so easily, because the weight is off the wheel. So you simply don't need as much braking power to have the same effect on that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you might want to have 180s front and rear if you're riding a lot of downhill riding, because you do tend to run the back brake quite a lot. I think when you're in bike parks and stuff. But them telling you you're wrong, well, technically they're wrong, because it's up to you what you want to ride, and it's got to suit your riding. But a lot of bikes do tend to have a smaller disc at the rear and a bigger at the front, and that's why.
Yep. Right. Next question coming from H. Just H.
Yeah, H.
The letter H. Says, I'm a high school student, amateur XC rider. I'm currently riding a 2015 Trek Superfly 9.8 size XL. Your favourite size.
Tall guy, yeah.
He must be tall like you. He's considering a dropper post.
Yeah.
I'll 100% go for a dropper
Don't
post on
consider
XC.
it, get one.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of these big XC races in the World Cup, they're all, they're coming down to like dropper post, especially for those descents. Not necessarily dropping like 160, but they're only dropping like 110.
Yeah.
Just enough to keep that saddle out of the way.
I would go as far as saying the taller rider you are, the more impact on your riding that a dropper post has. So you think a shorter rider, their centre of gravity is nearer to the ground, so they're going to be more stable. You, like me, I'm really high and quite far away from the bike, so the more I can lower my centre of gravity, the more stable I am. It will definitely improve your descending. It'll make you feel more in control, more comfortable.
Yeah.
I couldn't recommend them enough. Obviously, there is a weight penalty.
Yeah, he does say about weight, adding weight, or should you train without it?
I think the riding attributes you'll get from a drop post far outweigh the weight penalty.
Yeah.
So try it. You can always sell it because everyone wants dropper posts. You'll sell it easily.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
That'd be my recommendation. And yeah, if you want some advice on how to choose the right dropper post, check this video out.
My preference would be for the biggest drop possible that fits on that bike. However, some cross-country riders will go for the smaller drops like the 100mm, just because they don't want to feel like that seat completely disappears. They keep it up near that good pedaling position most of the time, but can get it just out of the way when they need to. And they are slightly lighter. However, like I say, I'd rather go for the bigger drop post so my seat gets right out of the way.
Right, quick fire round,
Cool.
Doddy. I'm going to be reading them to you, so you better be
Quickly?
quick. I'm going to try to be quick, you know. I'm not real fast reading.
All right, let's go.
Right, you ready?
Yeah.
Starting with Evan MTB. Can we see more videos of Martin riding?
Yes, we're taking him out soon. We've just got to finish fixing his bike.
There you go. Clappy. Are the spokes in carbon wheels also carbon?
Not as far as I know.
Okay, we got Drax Ferra?
I said you can read it. That'll do. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
We got one from us, matey boy. Says, can I use 120 travel rear shock on a 100 travel frame?
If you had 120mm travel shock, you'd have a lot of wheel travel. I think you mean the shock from a 120mm travel bike. Probably not, because the length of the shock will be different.
No.
So no.
Jackstrut DH. Why are Hope Green Pros only? P.S. I am a regular to the channel.
They're green to identify who's the pro riders running them, I guess.
There you go.
To make you want them more. I certainly want some.
Spectra Phase. Could you do a video on a cameraman riding the bike so we can also see whether they can shred or not?
I reckon that's a pretty good idea. What do you reckon, Tom?
Tom behind the camera is an absolute shredder.
Yeah. There's a few shredders in the office. Maybe we will.
Aris Emil. This is brilliant. I hate reading names, man.
You're the one who wanted to read quickfire.
I hate reading names.
Yeah.
Aris MLL. Is it okay to use 2 fingers on a mechanical brake lever, unlike a hydraulic one?
Yes, use as many as you need to, although I'd recommend 2 or less. So one finger is the ideal because it gives you a nice strong hand position on the bars.
Okay, there you go. Elong. So last week I chatted with the Don himself and asking him about his height. He says I'm actually 5'10".
Is he?
He's lying.
Didn't think
You
he
didn't
was.
speak to him, did he?
No.
That's just a fake account.
He's short. Yeah.
It is a fake account.
Yeah,
He's
go
lying.
on.
Right, we got one from Joram Vial. Can Doddy do whips, tables, and tabletops?
I could used to do really good tables. It used to be my thing.
You can still
haven't
do
done
them.
one for years.
You can still do them, and you can whip.
Ish. Yeah.
There you go. That's a quick fire round. Done. That was quick.
Oh, so now it's time for correct me if I'm wrong, and it looks like we've got some viewer corrections.
Oh yes,
So-
we have a few.
Okay, so Eric Jewston says, cold hands. Your body shuts down the blood flow to your hands when you're not up to temperature from riding yet. Once you've done your warm-up, slam your arms around your body as if you hug yourself like this, basically, to stimulate the blood flow. Keep repeating that with force and you'll feel the blood starts flowing back into your hands. Once you've done that, they shouldn't get cold anymore.
Shouldn't get cold anymore.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to try that
I'm
because
gonna
it's pretty
definitely
cold
try
here at the moment.
Yeah.
Doreen Green says, you're always saying about supporting your local bike shop, then we ride around with canyons, etc. It's a bit hypocritical. Well, alright, so I see where you're coming from. You've got to bear in mind that most bike shops now, they thrive on labour from your service more than selling the actual bikes. And we always use our local bike shops for doing that stuff. So, yeah, I understand your point of view, but you also got to kind of get with the times a bit because not everyone buys bikes in their local bike shops.
Yeah.
We choose to support our local bike shops. Blake's is on the Isle of Wight, mine is in Bath. In fact, got another one in Bradford and Avon. And we do go to those regularly and spend our money there. So,
Make teas and
Yeah.
do everything.
Pro Bro 18. Is that a GCM bottle? Unbelievable. I hope not.
Where?
Where? Okay, so now it's time for the actual correct me if I'm wrong. And dear GMBN, I am Nico from Belgium and I'm trying to roost some berms, but I can't quite get it better. There we go.
Just take a look at it.
Oh, dude, that's a perfect technique. It looks like you're doing it a little bit early in the turn. You're pushing in hard and your back end is skipping out nicely.
Yeah.
I think you got that great, but maybe do it a tiny bit later.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it looks like the turn's a bit looser just above where
Just
your wheel's
above
slipping.
it. Yeah. No, that's
What do you
good.
reckon?
That's good technique. I would. Well, it is a bit wet, so you're not going to get the ultimate roost. You're not going to let that tyre break away from that dirt because it's too muddy and your wheel's kind of sticking into it. So on a drier day, you're definitely going to get a bigger roost. And the way you've got it going on there, definitely going to have a recipe for a bigger roost. But you see all those leaves, to make it extra exciting, chuck all those leaves in there.
Good
Break
video
it up,
shot.
yeah, break it all up. Move your camera to the right at the exit of that turn. to give it a bit more of a close.
So he has got
closer
some roots
view.
flying
He has
up.
got
It's
roots,
pretty cool.
but it's real sticky, isn't
Wouldn't
it?
take a lot to get that
No.
really cool.
No.
Yeah, so don't forget to keep sending your questions in. Send them to ask@gmbn.com. Of course, you can just comment in the comments below, basically. If you want to see a video on all the types of greases to use and lubes and where to use them on your bike, click over here.
Yeah, and if you want to see an epic ride where Doddy and I take on Alicante, click just over here.
As always, don't forget to click the globe in the middle to subscribe. New content coming at you all the time.